Hello Primary 5 students, how are you? Welcome in your science class with me, Dr. Shaimaa Hamdy Kassem, and your channel, the Big Sister channel. As now we will study lessons 3 and 4 from Concept 2, Unit 1. Here we have Lesson 3, Activity 7, Food Chains, as we will see some food chains here. As we will start with this food chain as a question, okay? Complete the following food chain model using these words. If you have bird, grass, snake, hawk, and in the second place in the food chain, we have the grasshopper. So here, which one we can use as a producer? Bird or grass or snake or hawk? Yes, it's of course the grass, because the grass is a producer. So here we will put grass in the first place that eaten by the grasshopper. Then what do you think? The grasshopper, this is an insect. It may be eaten by the bird or the snake or the hawk. Yes, it may be eaten by the bird. So here we put in the third place the bird. Then we have the snake and the hawk. So the bird may be eaten by the snake, and the top predator here is the hawk. Okay? As we see here, we have finished the food chain that we have. Okay? Here we have another one, as we have a food chain that starts with the grass, and then we have beetle, we have frog, snake, and hawk. And we have some questions. We need to answer these, okay? Beetle is considered as producer, living organism. What do you think? Beetle is a producer? Yes, this is wrong. This is not true. And here we have the second one. Frog is eaten by the snake. Yes, frog is eaten by the snake. And we have the third question. Hawk is a predator, living organism. Yes, it's clear that the hawk is a predator because it hunts and eats other living organisms. Frog is considered as tertiary consumer. So let's see the frog here. The frog here is eating the beetle. So this is a secondary consumer. So this sentence is wrong. Frog is considered as tertiary consumer. This is wrong because it's considered as secondary consumer. Here we have a question. Give reason for. Some animals obtain energy they need from eating another animal. Why? Because they can't get energy directly from the sun, or because they can't make its own food and get energy. Both of them are correct answers. Here we have activity 8, food webs. As you see here, the food web is bigger than the food chain. As we saw, the food chain, it shows the food relationship or energy relationship between few number of living organisms, as grass eaten by mouse, and then the mouse eaten by another animal. So this is a food chain, but the grass in the ecosystem may be eaten by more than one animal, may be eaten by rabbit and mouse and grasshopper. So here, if we have a model that shows us the many food chains, okay, so this is called food web. So the definition of food web here is a model that shows several interconnected food chains among living organisms. So shows us several interconnected food chains among living organisms. What the meaning of interconnected food chains, as we see here in this model. We have green plant, and this plant may be eaten by mouse, or rabbit, or goat. Okay, so those all are primary consumers, and the mouse may be eaten by owl or wild cat or snake, and the rabbit may be eaten by the wild cat or jackal, okay, and so on. Here, there are many food chains, okay, so many living organisms. So the food web shows us more than one food chain, and they are interconnected, okay? So here, food web is a model that shows several interconnected food chains among living organisms. Interconnected food chains show the relationship between food and energy that passes from one living organism to another, as we saw in our examples. The grass eaten by the grasshopper and the grasshopper eaten by the snake. So it shows us the energy flow from one organism to another. But in fact, the plant as a producer for its own food, so it provides food for many living organisms, not one living organism. And this is shown in the food web. And this is called the interconnected food chains, as the plants provide food for a series of consumers, as rabbit, goat, and mouse, okay, and so on, okay? So food web shows us the energy flow in many living organisms in interconnected food chains. So here we will study activity 9, interactions in food web. As you see here, many organisms share the food resources within the ecosystem, as the same living organism may be eaten by many consumers, okay? As you see here, the plant eaten by the mouse, the rabbit, the goat, and other living organisms, okay? And the mouse may be eaten by more than one secondary consumer. It can be eaten by the snake or the wild cat, okay, and so on. So several different consumers may eat the same producer or prey, okay? And this is called the interaction in the food web. So food web shows different organisms in the ecosystem are connected. So we call it interconnected food chains. And this is to allow the energy passes between them to survive. So the consumer may eat more than one kind or more than one prey, okay? And the consumers may share the producer. Why? To allow to all living organisms to get food and get energy to survive. So producer is eaten by some consumers, and consumer is eaten by some consumers, and some consumers may eat the same producer or prey, as we saw mouse, rabbit, goat share getting energy from the producer, and an example for consumer that eaten by some consumers, as the goat can be eaten by the jackal or can be eaten by the lion, okay? So here, this is the interaction in the food web. And it is better to use food web to show interaction among living organisms than the food chain. So why the food web is better to show the interaction among the living organisms than the food chain? Because the food web shows interactions among many food chains. And the food web contains many organisms. But food chains show interaction between few organisms. Okay. So this is the reason. Because food web shows the interaction among many food chains, many organisms, but the food chain shows interaction between few organisms. Here we reach to lesson 4, activity 11, and this is a STEM topic, as we will see an application for what we studied as information. So we will see now how scientists use this in real life and in the ecosystem, okay? As we have here a doctor, which called Dr. Becky Barak, and this is a plant community ecologist. Ecologist comes from the word ecology, and ecology comes from the word ecosystem. So we can guess now the field that this Dr. Becky Barak works in. Yes, ecologist means that she studied ecosystems, different plants and animals in their ecosystems. So here, Dr. Becky Barak is a plant community ecologist, so she studied plants in their ecosystems, okay? So she studied the plants not in the laboratories, she studied them in their natural ecosystems, okay? So she studied a group of plants and get to do her researches out in the natural areas where plants and animals live. She studied restoration ecology. You studied before the word restoration as to return the ecosystems back to their natural state. Ecology means the topic of the science, the branch of the science that study the ecosystems and living organisms in these habitats and ecosystems, okay? As she learned interesting things as different plants need different ways to transport, to disperse seeds. As sticky seeds can disperse by human, as by sticking in human clothes or animal fur to be transported into another place, as we studied this before in an example for the sticky seeds, you know? Yes, burdock seeds. Yes, and also we have another type of seeds. If the seeds are light, so they can be transported by the wind as dandelion and maple seeds. She studied this information. So we have here, give reasons for sticky seeds of some plants can stick to humans' clothes or animals' body, and the reason to disperse their seeds to other places. And we have another question. Give reasons for studying restoration ecology is very important. And this is to rebuild habitats that are damaged, okay? To return the habitats back to its natural state. With this information, we finished our lesson. So don't forget to subscribe, like, and share my channel. Thank you for watching. See you next video, inshallah. And goodbye.